Hey there, Marina Ormes here with your Astro vibe for Saturday, November 5th. Today we have a moon in Aries all day long, and Aries is the sign of the warrior. So when the moon, which is our feeling selves, it's the energy or the mood or the vibe of the day. When the moon is in Aries, it means there's a vibe of action, of taking risks, but also being proactive on things and moving things forward by making decisions, taking action, taking steps to make things happen. And sometimes when the moon is in Aries, that means that things can happen. Like people can be a little emboldened or empowered, including people who have ill intent. And so sometimes difficult things involving aggression or even violence can take place when the moon is in Aries. But it's also there to remind us that we are ourselves able to act and not to be victims and not to be powerless. So today we are talking about how to turn fear into courage and take some of that Aries energy and turn it into positive courage that helps us take positive action that is in the direction of healing and helping one another and being our best selves. So turning fear into courage is really similar to the energy of turning anger into action. Both fear and anger can be kind of paralyzing emotions. And when we're feeling them and we feel like somebody else has power over us, and then taking that energy and turning it into positive ways of responding and acting in response to what's happening and drawing appropriate boundaries. So just like how we have personal boundaries, and need to protect ourselves, our own selves with healthy personal boundaries, we also need to do that in the collective. And we need to come together and take action to defend things that are really important to us, things that we value, like democracy, like women's rights, like the inherent worth and dignity of our fellow human beings and all of us. So taking our fear and turning it into courage is sometimes challenging because it can just feel overwhelming. And the sense of fear that can happen when we start to imagine the possibilities and we start to think about what could happen, and our minds, our egos, just get paralyzed from being able to do anything about it. And it can feel overwhelming. So it's important, if you are noticing that kind of fears for the future, fears for your fellow human beings, fears for yourself and your family and your own life, to notice that you're in fear. And that is really a good place to start. And then to kind of look for other ways of seeing this. So what it is you're afraid of, naming it. Here's what I'm afraid of. Here's what I'm afraid will happen. Because when you get specific about things, then it enables you to do something about it. It's much easier to do something about something specific than a sort of a vague sense of dread or doom that you can't really do anything about. So get specific about what you're afraid of, and then look at other ways that something more positive could also be true. So reframe, turn around the narrative. Remind yourself that even though, yes, this might happen, this good thing also might happen. Or look at the really wonderful ways that people are coming together right now as we speak to save democracy, to get out the vote, to work on climate change issues, and to get our collective act together to respond to how we are growing and changing collectively. And if you're interested in that, tomorrow I'm going to be going much more in depth on the upcoming lunar eclipse and how it represents a turning point in where we are in that collective evolution. So that'll be some really good source of inspiration for you to help you see the bigger picture of what might also be going on, even as we are experiencing some real challenges and scary things happening. To think about the bigger picture and how some of that might be actually pressure to help us shift and evolve and become who we really truly want to be and move more in that direction. So anyway, to turn around fear and help it become courage, just keep it in mind. Remember that you are in this is a crazy time. This is literally an unstable time where we are shifting and changing in ways that we don't understand yet. And so that's happening in the collective. It's showing up in your life in whatever ways it's showing up in your life. And if you can remind yourself that we are in a time also of evolution. So it's not just losing what we've had before, it's also this opportunity to create something new. And so remember that you're in that process. It doesn't feel comfortable. It can be scary. And what we're doing, I mean, it's uncomfortable. So what we're doing is doing something that hasn't been done before. Something that hasn't been done before. So how would we know that we can be successful? We don't have a model for how to do it, although we can piece one together from things that have happened in history where people have overcome challenges, overcome things that were very scary. Think about there are things I can remember, like the hole in the ozone, right? That was really scary when that was happening. We had that real feeling that the atmosphere was going to disappear and we would all be dead. And sort of similar to some of the things we might be frightened of right now. But we solved that problem. We fixed it. There's no hole in the ozone anymore. There are other things, but the point is, you don't know what's happening, and you don't know, and you are actually here in this time as a participant to make a difference in what might be happening and to contribute to problems being solved. So stories are not over yet. You are in a time of evolutionary growth that is and can be uncomfortable and scary at times, but to remember that there's also a bigger picture of change, and we don't know what we're becoming, and we can see some of the ways that we have changed already that are truly amazing and miraculous. We have more rights as women, as different marginalized groups than we ever have, and that can continue. In many ways, it's because that has been happening, that there's this backlash, right? There's this resistance to that change, and so we just have to keep going because we're going in the right direction. All right, so fear turning into courage and discovering your power and your potency within that. It all comes back to self-care, taking care of yourself so that you can respond and you can remember that it's just fear and there are other ways of looking at it, and tell yourself that story of what those other ways of looking at it are, and remember and acknowledge that discomfort that you feel sometimes is there for a reason. It's because things are changing, and that's what we want. So stay on track. Ask yourself how you can make a difference. What can you do? And maybe you're already doing a lot, which is wonderful. So just find your courage to keep going. This upcoming election is really important. I'll be talking more about that tomorrow, and how the election and the eclipse are part of this bigger picture of how we're evolving in the collective. All right, so that's your pep talk for today with the Aries moon. It's a great day for taking some risks and putting yourself out there. The worst that can happen is you screw it up and you make a mistake, and guess what? You get to do it again, or you get to evaluate from there and keep moving forward. And that's what we're here to do, is one foot in front of the other. So one step at a time, we're going somewhere. And when you choose what direction you're walking in, you're also choosing how that outcome will manifest. So keep doing it. Thank you so much for being here. Come back tomorrow and I'll give you a little bit more about the lunar eclipse in depth. The alignment's really potent and powerful time, and opportunity for shift. So check that out. And last week I talked about the age of Aquarius, gave you some bigger picture perspective. So definitely review that if you missed that one. And thank you so much for being here. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And thank you for your support. I really appreciate you, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.